J3D Tech here, and today I just received my Anycubic M7 Premium, and I'm going to unbox it and see what's inside.
M7 Pro.
Damn it. J3D Tech here, and today I just received my Anycubic M7 Pro, and I'm excited to see what's inside. So let's unbox it, and then while we're unboxing it, I'm also going to cover some extra tips because I like to teach people stuff, not just unbox printers. So let's see what's inside. This is super fun. Cutting cardboard. Don't cut yourself. I'm also assuming this is the right way to open this printer. If so, I am right. All right. All right. A rather large printer, but it's a little bit heavy. What, 28 pounds? 28-pound printer. Not too bad, but puts it up closer to the M7 Premium, my favorite printer. M3 Premium. All right, we got a cute little smiley face. Anycubic always does that. Oh, now it's not their traditional cover, it's black. Now I've intentionally not looked at other videos and reviews on this printer. I bought it, and I'm gonna learn how to use it kind of on my own to kind of figure out the way I want to use it, as well as I want to make this unboxing a little bit more natural without a bunch of pre-made decisions about it. So first thing, this is the classic black I've seen more often with some other printers. I like it and I dislike it. What I don't like about it is I can't see through it as easily to see the print. So, but I also like that it doesn't get dirty as fast, so yeah. To each his own, I guess, but yeah, there's the cover. Oh, there's a big slot in the back. That's interesting. All right, let's get on with what looks like the build plate here. Ooh, that's a very light build plate. Lighter than I'm used to with the Anycubic line of printers. And that's a different type of laser etching than I've ever seen before either. Let's do this. This is the fun part. There we go. That is a cool laser etching. We'll see how it works. I'm excited to try that out. Also the build plate, it's the 4-screw, which I like. I really don't like the ball joint type. They don't last as long. But one thing here that is interesting is how close they are together. That's actually gonna make leveling this really easy. We'll see how this does as far as stability and how often I have to level it. All right, let's go over the box of goodies. Oh, well, first thing, here's the leveling paper and a spare, which looks like a screen protector. Yeah, spare screen protector and the leveling paper. Leveling paper, I don't use it, but the spare screen protector. I've honestly actually never punctured one of my FEPs before. 3 years of 3D printing, 12 printers. I probably shouldn't say, but maybe $15,000 worth of resin, and I've never punctured, I've never actually had to replace one of these yet, so who knows, maybe someday. All right, let's get through the box. Paper, garbage. All right, so there's like the normal things we get. We get these worthless gloves, don't use them. The gloves you'll want to use, I've got an example here. These are the ones that I like. They're quite a bit thicker. I think these are 5 mil, or 6 mil. 6 mil is maybe a little thick, but I would recommend getting 4 to 5 mil. These ones are pretty thin, they rip really easy, and of course if it rips, you've now got resin all over your hands, and you do that enough times, and you might build up an allergic reaction and get some problems. So I wouldn't use those, but have some of these ready. All right, the air purifier. These don't work, actually. They look really nice, and I wish they would stop including them, but they don't actually work. If this was 10 times the size, 20 times the size, it still wouldn't work, unfortunately. The only way to safely do it is to vent outside and wear a mask. When you're 3D printing, this is the correct thing to have. This is a carbon activated or organic vapor. This is what you want to have. Not these. Don't use these. They're worthless. Inside here, it looks like there's some paint filters. Those are good. Great to have paint filters. Always good to filter your resin when putting it back or sometimes putting it in the vat. All right. This is a little piece. We'll get to this later. All right, here's the scraper. The metal scraper. This one kind of has a tendency to dig into the build plate. I like this to be pretty for a really long time. Here I have an older example. This is my very first M3 Premium compared to the M7 Pro. You see that there is a size difference between these two printers. This is a really big printer. This is what I was talking about earlier, where it was nice to get my hands in there. This is a nice heavy one, but I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but there's quite a few scratches on it. It's my first one. I was still learning, and that's because I used this. I now throw those away. I don't use them. Instead, what I use is this little guy. It takes the prints off really, really easy and won't scratch them. This will look like this after 500, 1,000 prints using this guy. And I'll have links to these things in my guide, which will be in the description. In the bottom of my guide, I have links to all this stuff. All right. Power cable, important, you need that. But one thing I do like to do, I like to get shorter ones. I don't like these big bundles being, well, I've got lots of printers, so maybe for you it's not a big deal. But ordering shorter ones makes kind of cabling everything up a lot easier. All right, inside of here we've got, for attaching the screen protector, we got this thing right here, which is another thing you don't want to use. You don't want to use this on your FEP. It will damage it and scratch it and ruin it. Instead, we want to use this guy. This is soft silicone. You can squeegee your FEP all day long. It won't scratch it, won't damage it, and it'll last forever. Maybe this is part of the reason why I've never had a FEP failure or leak in my life so far. And speaking of the FEP, let's get to the vat. This is taped in or something. Oh, here we go. So this is interesting. This goes with this. So I'm not sure how I feel about this yet. I'm gonna have to use it for a while and I'll figure it out. But this is, it will fill your resin up into the vat. The thing I'm a little scared about these things is it's another thing to clean if I switch out resin. Now for me, I switch out resin a lot. And sometimes I'll go from a clear to a dark. And for that one, you have to just make sure you remove all the dark. If I'm going from like a gray to a gray of different brands, a little bit of cross-contamination will change nothing about it, and that's not a problem. But we'll see. I do a lot of resin changes, so maybe I can come up with a workflow that's really, really efficient where I still get to use this. Because I do like the idea of being able to pump the resin out of the vat if I can. If it does that, I don't even know. All right, to the vat. Oh, this vat's got the heater built into it. I believe that's the heater. A built-in vat heater is probably the best thing that 3D printers could do right now. Depending on where you live in the world, it may not be something you have to deal with, or depending on the time of the year. But I've been helping people 3D print professionally for 2.5 to 3 years now. And in the wintertime, my job gets more difficult, mostly because cold resin doesn't print well. So just having a vat heater will change so much and really increase the quality. Now, what's interesting is that this is a transparent sheet. It's not opaque. It does have the protector on it. Oh no, it is opaque. Dang it. So this is the ACF film. The ACF film is not something I generally like very much. The problem with ACF film and me is that it helps you print a little bit faster because it releases from the film faster, but only for that first stage of lifting. It doesn't change how high you have to lift, and it doesn't change anything about the retract speed. And once if you're using two-stage lifting, so you lift really slow and then you lift fast, this would only change that first stage of lifting to lift slower, or to be able to lift faster, because the print will release from the film easier. The problem is that I've seen research that shows that effect doesn't last very long. I don't know if it's because the texture becomes flattened or something about it changes, but after a while it starts to grip onto the print the same thing NFEP will. They're much more expensive to replace, and they do cloud, and they add like a texture, and they also remove some of the quality. This is a 14K printer, this ACF film, and I've already done this with hundreds of tests, does reduce the accuracy of it. And so I don't think you'll actually get the 14K that this printer has using this film. So I'll do prints with and without it, but in the end, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be using NFEP for the majority of the life of this printer. All right. I don't know how to put that thing down. That's gonna be fun to maneuver around. I think my ability, the way I remove resin, or maybe this pump, is gonna be pretty essential with this thing hanging off there. All right, I guess one other thing. It's a pretty good sized vat as far as the XY goes, but depth. One thing I really loved about the M7 or the M3 Premium was how deep the vat was. I still always mix my resin up before every print using my spatula, which is around here somewhere. Yeah, this guy right here. I always mix it up, and having a taller vat I really like because there's less chance of me spilling over, and it just holds more resin, and so I don't have to worry about refilling it with just simply a taller vat. So maybe, you know, in the end, the cost of this being removed and a taller vat, you know, the millwork for that one could be about the same price, and a taller vat would actually be better, but I don't, maybe it's not as marketable or something, which is why I see so many short vats with extra little things like this and this. It's really good marketing, but as far as does it actually make a difference to you using it every day, we'll see, but my perception is the taller vat will actually be more beneficial over time than the pump will. To be determined. Oh, it does have the standoffs though. It's pretty common that they have the standoffs, so when you set it down, your the film doesn't touch the table. Something really important to think about, if I put this down and there's spills or drips, even if I do have the feet, they can get underneath it, especially if there's resin on it, kind of pushing it down. So if you ever take this thing off and you put it down, you always want to make sure that the bottom of it is perfectly clean before putting it back on the LCD. It can damage your LCD and a bunch of other things. Sorry, it was supposed to be an unboxing video. I'm getting too much into the details, so let's keep unboxing. Alrighty. Next thing is, I always like to check the screws on the printers. Sometimes these are really, really thin in the way they thread, and they're a little bit dangerous because when you go to take them off, they just fall right off into your resin. So let's check that out. That's got a decent amount of, okay, that's fine. That's got a decent amount of play into it. Where I'm not gonna accidentally overspin it. It's gonna fall off and create an issue. All right, that's nice. And that's actually really nice to take on and off. It's still, I'd say it's a slight downgrade from the M3. The M3, the way it went on, the way everything was milled was just really nice. It slid in really well. There wasn't any grinding or peeling of aluminum. This might have a little bit of that, but it's better than some of the other ones that I've played with. All right, so let's talk about build quality again, what I look for in a printer and how I feel about this one so far. The screw is no longer a ball screw, so slight downgrade there, but I've seen some other printers with not having a ball screw be pretty good. I'll test that amongst other printers with a ball screw and see how much of a difference does it make. At least it's a dual linear rail, so we got the 2 rails instead of 1. That does add some stability to it. Again, we'll test that. That's mostly going to be where they get layer lines, is what that'll. The quality of the tower being the screw, and this is layer lines mostly. They claim this thing can get down to 1 or 0.01 millimeters on the Z. So I'll have to put that to the test. It's interesting with this tower that they claim it can do that, but we'll try. The next thing really important about build quality is, will the tower bend, you know, when pressure is put on it? This tower is very strong. I don't think it'll bend at all. I don't want to pick on anybody, but let's pick on the Saturn II. The Saturn II's tower would bend. And the problem with that one is, especially when you're getting a taller print where it's even more important, when you have more leverage at the top, when that printer would go down and up, it would bend the tower this way. And so what happens if you're going down, you're pushing through resin, the tower will bend a little bit. And then when the motor stops, the tower has to come back to square. The resin has to stop moving before you cure, or you run into an issue with accuracy. So a good quality tower that's really sturdy and really bolted on is very important, because it actually means you can lift, you don't have to lift as high to get around the bending for the other direction. So you can actually print faster. This seems very sturdy. I also like how it's pretty well sealed up at the top. You know, resin spills happen. They happen down the front, they happen down the sides, and if you're stirring like I do before every print, sometimes they happen in the back. I've always kind of wondered why there isn't a splash guard against the screw on anything, but it'd be pretty easy to 3D print a splash guard and put it there. But the whole top is pretty well sealed up. There is a shipping film on here, but that shipping film is only for the LCD, not for the tape. It's the same one thing about Anycubic. I really like the way they've done the tops of their printers always. This is plastic and not aluminum like the M3 Premium, but it's still very flush. They've got a groove here at the bottom. Having this flush to the LCD is very important, especially if you plan on doing what this thing claims. This is 1 Z layer height. So one thing, this is a 16.8 by 24.8 14K LCD. The 14K is pretty much irrelevant. All we care about is the size of the pixels on X and Y, and that is the 16.8 by 24.8. So again, we're to the rectangle pixels. I've not noticed any issue with that with the other 12K screens, but we'll see how this one goes down on it. Again, I'll do all the test prints and I'll play with it. The next thing here is I like that LCD. The button, it's okay. The This is on the front side. That's good. I would still like it on the, I like it on the front because if I stack my printers next to each other, it's hard to get my hands in here. I honestly don't know why we haven't done them on the front, but at an upward angle with like a hood over it and a kind of a hood over all this. But this is protected in plastic. One thing I do with all my printers is I take a piece of VEP, I cut it and I tape around it and I cover this up. This one, I don't have to do that. This is completely sealed. Well, no, that button still is open. Stuff can get inside there. So I may end up putting a piece of the same kind of tape that goes around your LCD, just putting over it where I can still push the button, but there's no way anything can get down there. Especially if you got dirty hands like that and you're pushing it, some of it might drip in there and get inside the button and it would stop working properly, which would suck. Be a dumb way to kill a printer. The back is pretty basic. You got some fans. I don't see that there's the Wi-Fi phone port. Oh, I guess that must be for something else. And then your fans. It's a like most printers now. I think there's a lot of plastic, not so much full aluminum like they used to be, which is common now. So it is what it is. Well, I guess let's do some assembly real quick. If you're hanging around the video this long, why not? Let's take this fun film off. There we go. Take this bottom film off. We don't want to accidentally leave that on there. Expose our ACF. All right, let's see here. How is this to put on? It's a little bit weird. It's a little back heavy on that back there. You're not gonna be able to see this, but I also have to go off what I'm saying. There is a little bit of a gap on this side that's not on this side for the way that the FEP hits the LCD. Find that a little interesting. Maybe part of the issue is not having a full aluminum milled top plate, but we'll see if that affects anything as I use it. Where are the VAT screws? I don't see them. Well, I think they're right there. The next thing I've kind of seen a trend in newer printers is the VAT screws becoming thin and small. I don't like it. If this thing breaks off or gets stuck in there, I don't know if you tap it out. How am I gonna get it out? It's gonna suck. One thing I do is I take a little bit of the super lube and I put a little bit onto the screw so that way it kind of reduces the chance of it getting seized in there or anything like that, or any resin getting down and seizing it, because if those thread out, you're making something up to fix it. I also don't like how these smaller screws just have a really thin threading, so they take forever. All right. And then the build plate. Where the power brick went. Oh, there's no power brick. Oh, the power brick's built in. Now there's no power brick. That's interesting. That's actually kind of nice for someone who has a lot of printers kind of backed up to not have to deal with that. All right, let's turn it on. Should have power. And I do have power. There we go. No? It's gonna be one of those, please hold and stand by while I figure this out. You just have to hold down the button on the front to turn the dang thing on, which is a little weird because I've got a switch on the back and a power switch on the front. I don't know why there's two. It's a little long, a little slow. I keep my printers off. I do that because I've noticed that the LCD on some printers, they have a power drain. So there's always power leaking into the LCD. So I turn them off when I'm not using them. This has a long power up and the fan's spinning, even though it's not in use. Because I really don't want to leave it on for the Wi-Fi. The fan's spinning all the time. And they're kind of loud. So not a huge fan of that. All right, English. Yes. Global, I'm not in China. Anycubic setup and first function, start. Why not? I would normally skip this, but let's hit start and see what this is all about. All right, so install print platform, done. Oh, it's telling me how to install the VAT and stuff. Pour in the resin, blah, 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 done, 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 done. And it gives me a QR code to download the Anycubic app, which I played with for a while. It's a decent app. You can monitor your printer online and stuff like that. All right, let's see here. So the controls I use the most are lift up, lift down, home, and print. I don't have, well, there's probably one on here. So I'm kind of curious just to see what those functions are like, since that's the most used. Most everything else you're almost never going to use. You'll slice it on your computer and control it through there. So let's see here. how is this going to be? We've got, okay, so those are our lift up, lift down. Having the 15 millimeter up is, I like that a lot. I hate having to push 10 millimeters 100 times. Nice stop button. There's a level test, Z's axis 0 point. Okay, I hope this isn't just home, that I can actually set the Z offset. I will play with that, but one issue with self-leveling printers, and this is a self-leveling printer, is that they don't let you set the Z offset. The Z offset is where should this start when the print starts. If you're off, so like let's say it's pushing down in the FEP too hard, that can cause print failures. The kind of print failures you get mostly are the kind where a support just stops printing, or you've got a raft with no supports on it. That generally means that this is pushing into the FEP too hard. That also damages your FEP and wears it out faster. So being able to adjust that so that the print is starting at the correct height to alleviate that pressure is very, very important. And I thought it was really interesting that that's an aspect of leveling, and maybe one of the most important aspects of leveling, and that was removed on some of the printers with auto leveling, which makes no sense to me. And we'll see if this has it or not. Because I can see that just goes up and down. I don't see the set, I don't see it. Do a leveling test, I guess. That might be kind of boring to watch. I guess that's done, and it didn't give me the option to set the Z offset. So really, that's it. That's all you get. 0.1, 1, 10, and 50, and no Z offset ability. I hope the auto leveling works on this thing really well, because I mean, Z offset, I'm adjusting it by 0.01 to 0.04 millimeters, and that makes a rather significant difference in the success of my prints. And there's other people that I help out. I mean, by other people, I mean a lot of other people. It's probably one of the biggest issues that I see now, and just adjusting the Z offset fixes so many issues. So I hope, and we'll see, we'll put it to the test. All right, well, thanks for sticking around this long. If I haven't bored you to death, hopefully you learned something about the printer and about 3D printing, and I'll catch you later.